Would you like to know how much power you actually have as a consumer? You apparently have enough power that you helped take down the CEO of Target. That's the breaking news. Target's CEO is stepping down as the company faces weak sales and an ongoing customer boycott, which we've been covering here for a number of months. It took off the head of Target. Brian Cornell was in that picture. He's gonna be replaced by Target's chief operating officer as Target tries to figure out how to dig themselves out of this hole. I have an idea of how you could do it if you'd like to make me CEO. Just undo the terrible things you did that made people hate your guts. Evidently, they're not gonna immediately do that. We'll see if eventually that'll be the strategy. But let me give you an idea of how things are going for Target right now. Sales at Target, which has almost 2,000 stores across the US, fell more than expected in the first quarter of 2025. And the retailer warned earlier this year that sales will continue to slip through the rest of the year. Target said people were scaling back spending over worries about the impact of tariffs, so thank you, Trump, and the state of the economy. Company also said customer boycotts affected sales. And you might recall that back in July, many Black Americans were boycotting stores, including Target and Amazon. Earlier this year, more than 250,000 people signed a pledge to boycott Target after the Reverend Jamal Bryant, pastor of New Birth Baptist Church in Georgia, called for a 40-day Target fast that started at the beginning of the Lenten season. And you might wonder why. Well, in case you forgot, the company scaled back their DEI initiatives in January after they came in under attack on like Twitter from conservatives, and Donald Trump talked about them. They decided, forget all that stuff about diversity and Black-owned businesses. We don't like that stuff anymore. We don't want Trump to be mad at us. They also last year, by the way, scaled back their LGBTQ plus themed merchandise for Pride Month. So this is the product of a 2-year thing where they were like, all that stuff about us liking people in our community and caring about them, we don't care about that stuff anymore. We want conservatives to like us, and it turns out that hasn't been great for business. Particularly in the second quarter this year, they reported a 21% drop in net income, which is pretty big. And I don't know if this new guy is gonna solve it for them. Sharon, what do you make of it?
I think when you capitulate and act against your own interests, if I'm not mistaken, the LGBT plus Q merchandise, the black hair and makeup merchandise, it was booming. It was lifting Target up. It was a good thing. It made good business sense, and it also made good, I think, moral sense, I guess. So listen, no, they're not going to turn it around. Whenever you act this way and capitulate to something that doesn't even make good business sense, no, not until they get somebody in there that says, you know what, we're just going to follow the mission, make money, put out, products that our customers would like. No.
Yeah, and by the way, there might be some people that think, well, from a corporate point of view, I think they're right that it's like, well, we could go in like a more inclusive direction, or we could go in like the MAGA direction or whatever. And like, so MAGA wants them not to do that, and the libs don't want them to do this. So I guess it's the same, right? No, it's not the same. It's fundamentally not the same. One strategy of, hey, we're not gonna exclusively buy all of our products from businesses owned by white people, and we're gonna acknowledge that gay people exist and always have. That's just reasonable. That's all that is. Doing a thing where we're going to push people in the shadows, pretend that they don't exist, boycott the black-owned businesses, I guess. We're gonna refuse to buy from them. That's not the same thing, okay? And Target needs to understand that. They were doing better under the previous strategy. And conservatives may not like that. They may cry about it being woke or whatever. It was better for business. So why shouldn't the business do the thing that's better for business? And so right now, they're apparently still more scared of Trump than they are of their company failing. But they can only go for so long. Eventually, the shareholders are going to expect an actual change, not just in leadership, but in policy. And we're going to continue to watch to see if that ever comes. But let's jump now into this. We mentioned the tariffs, but it's not just that. Trump's tariffs are doing widespread harm, and not just to Target or to Walmart or Amazon. Traditional American companies and red states are very much feeling the pain. And we're showing you there's some products made by John Deere. Well, they're in a pretty bad way. They actually announced earlier this week that they're laying off 71 workers in Waterloo, Iowa, 115 people in East Moline, Illinois, 52 workers in Moline, Illinois, as well. Now, they've been laying people off for a solid year or more. And you might say that people's frustration about the economy before the election, that companies like John Deere were firing people, led them to want to move in a different direction. But the issue is, they didn't move in a different direction. They just poured fuel on the fire because Donald Trump's economic policy, particularly his tariffs, are directly contributing to these firings. And it's not me, some progressive online, who's saying that. John Deere is saying that. And so let's jump to a little bit of how they're explaining these recent moves. Corey Reed's the president. He said during the company's most recent earnings call that the uncertainty surrounding Trump's tariffs has led to many farmers putting off investments in farm equipment, saying, quote, if you have customers that are concerned about what their end market are gonna look like in a tariff environment, they're waiting to see the outcomes of what these trade deals look like. Their director of investor relations similarly said the primary drivers for the company's negative outlook from the prior quarter are increased tariff rates on Europe, India, and steel and aluminum. And so the uncertainty thing, you can say, well, eventually we'll know what some of these tariff rates are. And for some of them we do, and they're higher tariffs. Europe is a higher tariff. India is a far higher tariff. Trump just raised it by 50%. That is terrible for John Deere. And it's gonna mean that the next couple of quarters are gonna be really rough for them. And it's not just them. Ford, they said their profits could plunge by up to 36% this year. They expect to take a $2 billion hit, particularly on the tariffs on steel and aluminum, as well as on car components manufactured in Canada and Mexico. General Motors last month said the Trump tariffs are a major reason why its profits fell $3 billion the previous quarter. And they think the next quarter their profits could drop $5 billion. Which is bad for the company, it's bad for the stock and the stockholders. It's bad for hiring at those companies. And they're saying it is the tariffs doing this. And of course it is. We all knew it was gonna have that effect. The only person in America who doesn't seem to accept that still is Donald Trump. And so we're seeing it across all these different companies, Sharon. You hate to see it. You just hope that people are paying attention.
Yeah, as they try to take care of their daily obligations and their daily lives. He causes so much chaos, it's hard to fight back. But yeah, this is another dumb thing that he's done. And it's so easy, in my view, to spot it. I don't know why people don't just rise up and do something about this guy and all of his policies. I mean, we can't count on the Republicans in Congress to do anything. It's not even his right, these tariffs, okay? But who's gonna stop him? It's the same old thing.
Yeah, I have to imagine, shouldn't Fox be covering this? Like, do you think that the 71 people in Waterloo, Iowa that were fired by John Deere are like blue-haired vegan hippies? Maybe there's a couple, I don't know. I don't wanna judge Iowa too much, but there's probably a few conservatives among that. I mean, it's Iowa, it's John Deere. How much more stereotypically American does it need to be for Fox to care? And bear in mind, oh boy, were they talking about firings under Joe Biden. Why is it that now, as the firings become more common, they don't seem to care, as all these great American companies are having their profits cut, not because of bad decisions on their part, not because of woke, but because of Trump's tariffs. The thing is, people are gonna notice, even if they pretend not to.